Why are all the cards blocked? My mother-in-law and I couldn't pay for lunch. I'm Auntie Jasmine, a 52-year-old black woman who's built a successful real estate business from nothing. And I found out my own son blocked all my credit cards to steal my company while I sat humiliated in a restaurant with his grandmother. 3 months later, he was arrested at his fake company acquisition celebration party when the FBI walked in with handcuffs. Let me tell you something about trust. It's the easiest thing to give and the hardest thing to get back. That Tuesday afternoon at Marcello's Italian Bistro, sitting across from my mother-in-law Patricia with our finished plates in front of us, I reached for my wallet with the casual confidence of a woman who'd never had a card declined in her life. The waiter, a young man with kind eyes, smiled as he took my American Express. He returned 2 minutes later, his smile strained. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but this card was declined." The words didn't register at first. Declined? I'd had that card for 15 years and I'd never carried a balance. "There must be some mistake," I said, handing him my visa. "Try this one." Patricia watched quietly, her hands folded on the table. She was 73, elegant in her pearls and navy dress, and I could see the concern starting to form in her eyes. The waiter disappeared again, returned again. "I'm sorry, this one was also declined." My blood ran cold. I pulled out my MasterCard, the backup I kept for emergencies. My hands were trembling slightly as I handed it over, but I forced my voice to stay steady. "This one will work." But it didn't. 3 cards, all declined. "I have cash," Patricia said quietly, reaching for her purse, but even in my growing panic, I could see the worry on her face. The humiliation of that moment, a successful businesswoman unable to pay for a $67 lunch, burned through me like acid. "Thank you," I whispered, as Patricia counted out bills. In the car afterward, I sat in the parking lot, my hands gripping the steering wheel. Patricia placed her hand over mine. "Jasmine, honey, what's going on?" "I don't know," I said, "but I'm going to find out." Back home, I sat at my kitchen table, the same oak table where I'd signed the papers for my first rental property 23 years ago. The afternoon light slanted through the windows, falling across the scattered mail I'd ignored that morning. The old clock on the wall ticked steadily, each second a reminder that time was moving while I sat there trying to understand what had just happened. Had I been such a fool? I pulled out my phone and called my bank. The automated system recognized my account number. I pressed through the menu options until I reached a real person. "Mrs. Anderson, I see here that your accounts were frozen this morning at 9:47 a.m., the customer service representative said. "The request came from an authorized account holder." "What authorized account holder?" "A Mr. Marcus Anderson. He's listed as having power of attorney over your accounts in case of your incapacitation." Marcus, my son. The room started spinning. "I'm not incapacitated," I said slowly. "I'm perfectly fine." "The documentation submitted indicated otherwise, ma'am. I'm not at liberty to discuss the details, but I can tell you that all your accounts, personal and business, have been frozen pending a competency evaluation." I hung up and stared at my phone. Marcus was my only child, my baby boy, the kid I'd raised alone after his father walked out when he was 3. The young man I'd put through college, business school, groomed to take over Anderson Property Management when I retired. The son I'd trusted with everything. I pulled up his number and called. It rang 5 times before going to voicemail. "Marcus, call me immediately. Something's wrong with all my accounts." He didn't call back. I tried 3 more times over the next hour. Nothing. My throat felt tight. The kitchen, usually my sanctuary, felt like it was closing in on me. I thought about the lunch, about Patricia paying with her Social Security money while I sat there helpless, and something hot and sharp twisted in my chest. There had to be an explanation. Marcus wouldn't do this. He couldn't. But even as I thought it, a small voice whispered, "Then why isn't he answering his phone? Let me take you back, because you need to understand what Marcus meant to me to understand how deep this betrayal cut." I remembered the day he was born, August 15th, 1993, at 3:42 in the morning. 8 pounds, 6 ounces of perfect baby boy with my eyes and his father's dimples. I was 23 years old, working 2 jobs, living in a 1-bedroom apartment in the rough part of town. His father, Thomas, had promised me the world. Instead, he gave me 3 years of broken promises before disappearing entirely. So it was just me and Marcus. I remembered his first day of kindergarten. He'd worn a blue shirt with a dinosaur on it, and he'd clung to my leg, terrified to let go. "You're going to do great things, baby," I'd whispered to him. "Mama's going to make sure of it." And I had. God help me, I had. I worked cleaning offices at night while Marcus slept at my mother's house. I took real estate classes during the day while he was in school. I saved every penny, lived on ramen and hope, until I finally had enough for a down payment on a tiny duplex in a neighborhood that was up and coming, which meant it was rough but had potential. I remembered Marcus at 10, helping me paint that duplex. He'd gotten more paint on himself than the walls, but he'd been so proud. "We're building something, aren't we, Mama?" he'd said. "Yes, baby, we're building our future." By the time Marcus was in high school, I owned 3 properties. By the time he graduated college, I owned 12. Anderson Property Management had become one of the most successful Black-owned real estate companies in the city. I had 47 properties, 3 full-time employees, and a reputation for integrity. I remembered Marcus's graduation from business school 4 years ago. I'd cried watching him walk across that stage. He'd come straight to work for me afterward, learning the business from the ground up. He was smart, ambitious, good with numbers. Everyone loved him. "One day this will all be yours," I'd told him on his first day. "Everything I've built, baby, it's all for you." He'd hugged me. "I won't let you down, Mom, I promise." 2 years ago, when I turned 50, I'd made Marcus a partner in the business, 50% ownership. He'd earned it, I thought. He'd worked hard, brought in new clients, modernized our systems. It seemed natural. He was my son, my legacy. I'd given him power of attorney over my accounts as part of the partnership agreement. "Just in case something happens to me," I'd explained to the lawyer. "I want to make sure the business stays in the family." The lawyer had hesitated. "Are you sure, Mrs. Anderson? That's a lot of power to give someone." "He's my son," I'd said simply. Now, sitting at that kitchen table with the light fading outside, those words haunted me. "He's my son," as if blood was a guarantee against betrayal. How did we get here? I tried Marcus's number again. Still no answer. That's when I saw the envelope on the counter, the one I'd tossed there this morning without opening. It was from my lawyer's office. My hands shook as I tore it open. Inside was a letter and a legal document. "Dear Mrs. Anderson," the letter began. "It has come to our attention that your son, Marcus Anderson, has initiated competency proceedings against you, claiming you are no longer capable of managing your business affairs due to early-onset dementia. As your attorney of record for the past 12 years, I wanted to make you aware of this immediately. Please call me as soon as you receive this." The document was a petition to the court, requesting that I be declared incompetent and that Marcus be granted full control of Anderson Property Management and all associated assets. Early-onset dementia. I was 52 years old. I ran a multi-million-dollar business. I just closed a deal last week on a new commercial property, and my son was trying to have me declared insane. The betrayal hit me like a physical blow. I actually doubled over, my forehead nearly touching the table. The years, the sacrifices, the love, all of it felt like a lie in that moment. But underneath the hurt, something else was building, something cold and hard and absolutely furious. If Marcus thought I was going to go down without a fight, he'd forgotten who raised him. I called my lawyer, Richard Chen, immediately. "Mrs. Anderson," he said, his voice tight with concern, "I've been trying to reach you all day. Tell me everything." Marcus filed the petition yesterday morning. He's got 3 doctors' signatures on an evaluation claiming you're showing signs of cognitive decline, confusion, memory loss, impaired judgment. He's requesting an emergency hearing to freeze your assets and take control of the business. 3 doctors I've never seen. Exactly. This is fraud, Mrs. Anderson. But proving it will take time, and in the meantime, he's already frozen my accounts. I couldn't pay for lunch today, Richard. My mother-in-law had to cover it. There was a long silence. I'm sorry, I should have caught this faster. When's the hearing? Friday, 3 days from now. What do I need to do? Get your own evaluation immediately. I know a neurologist who can see you tomorrow and provide testimony that you're completely competent. But Jasmine, he paused, you should prepare yourself. Even if we win this, your relationship with Marcus is over, I finished. I know. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in my home office, the room where I'd built an empire from nothing, and I started digging. I pulled up the company accounts on my laptop. Marcus had changed most of the passwords, but I still had administrative access to some systems he hadn't thought to lock. What I found made my blood run cold all over again. For the past 6 months, Marcus had been systematically transferring money out of company accounts into a separate LLC registered in his name only. Small amounts at first, $5,000 here, $10,000 there. But in the last month, the transfers had gotten bigger. $50,000, $100,000. Last week, he'd moved $300,000. I'd trusted him with the books. He was the CFO of Anderson Property Management. I'd signed off on whatever he put in front of me, never thinking to check behind his work. I had been such a fool. I pulled up the LLC registration. Marcus Corp. LLC, incorporated 4 months ago. Listed purpose: real estate acquisition and management. He wasn't just stealing from me. He was building his own company to replace mine. My phone buzzed with a text. Finally, Marcus. Mom, I heard about the confusion with your cards. Don't worry, we'll get it sorted out. Why don't you rest? I'll come by tomorrow to help you figure everything out. The audacity. The sheer, breathtaking audacity. He was gaslighting me. Treating me like I actually was confused, like I was some addled old woman who'd gotten herself mixed up. I typed back. We need to talk. Now. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then, tomorrow, Mom, you need to rest. Love you. Love you. I threw the phone across the room. The next morning, I woke up with perfect clarity. The hurt was still there. It would probably never fully go away, but it was wrapped now in something harder, something purposeful. I had an 8 a.m. appointment with Dr. Sarah Kim, the neurologist Richard had recommended. She put me through 2 hours of cognitive testing, memory exercises, problem solving, spatial reasoning, everything they could think of to measure mental competence. Mrs. Anderson, she said when we finished, your cognitive function is excellent, better than average for your age, actually. There is absolutely no indication of dementia, early onset or otherwise. I'll have my full report to your attorney by this afternoon. Thank you. I have to ask, why would someone claim you were incompetent? Because, I said slowly, he wants to steal everything I've built. Her expression hardened. Then I hope you destroy him. From Dr. Kim's office, I drove straight to see my oldest friend, Lorraine Matthews. We'd grown up together, gone to high school together, been through everything life could throw at 2 Black women trying to make it in this world. She was a private investigator now, ran her own firm. I found her in her office above a dry cleaner in downtown. She took one look at my face and poured us both coffee. Talk to me, Auntie J, she said. We'd called each other Auntie since we were kids, long before it was our actual title. I told her everything. The cards, the petition, the money transfers, the fake doctors. When I finished, Lorraine leaned back in her chair, her dark eyes blazing. That boy needs to learn what happens when you come for a queen. I need your help. You've got it. What do we know so far? I pulled out a flash drive. I'd prepared that morning copies of everything I'd found. Account statements, transfer records, the LLC registration, emails between Marcus and people I didn't recognize. Lorraine plugged it into her computer and started scrolling. Her eyebrows rose higher with each document. Jesus, Jasmine, he's been planning this for months. Look at this. He's been in contact with someone named David Rothstein at Rothstein Commercial Properties. Who's that? Give me a minute. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. Okay, Rothstein is a major commercial real estate developer. Been trying to break into the residential market for years but couldn't get a foothold. And look, your boy Marcus has been sending him detailed reports on all of Anderson Property Management's properties, financials, client lists. He's selling my company. Not yet, but that's the plan. Once he gets you declared incompetent, he'll have full control. Then he sells to Rothstein, pockets millions, and leaves you with nothing. The betrayal kept getting worse. It wasn't just theft, it was complete destruction. Marcus wasn't just taking the company, he was erasing me entirely. There's more, Lorraine said grimly. Look at this chain of emails. Marcus isn't working alone. She pulled up a series of messages between Marcus and someone named Vanessa Price. Who's she? According to this, she's a lawyer, specializes in competency cases and estate law. She's the one who set up the fake medical evaluations. Look at this email from 2 months ago. The doctors are ready. I've prepared all the paperwork. Once we file the petition, it'll take maybe a week before you have full control. Then we proceed with the Rothstein deal as planned. I felt sick. There's more, Lorraine said quietly. Your CFO, James Morrison, he's copied on half these emails. James, who'd worked for me for 8 years, who I'd trusted. How many people? I whispered. At least 3 that I can see. Marcus, this Vanessa lawyer, and James, but there might be others. I sat there in Lorraine's office, staring at the evidence of my son's conspiracy. The morning light came through the dirty windows, and somewhere below I could hear the sound of traffic, normal life, continuing as if my world wasn't falling apart. I could have confronted them privately, I said slowly. Could have gone to Marcus, demanded explanations, tried to fix this quietly. But they didn't give me that option. They froze my accounts. They humiliated me. They tried to destroy me. I looked up at Lorraine. If they wanted war, they're going to get war. Lorraine smiled, a sharp, dangerous smile. Now that's the Auntie J I know. What do you need from me? Everything. I want to know everywhere Marcus goes, everyone he talks to, every move he makes. I want documentation of every crime he's committing, and I want to know exactly when he's planning to finalize this deal with Rothstein. I'll have my best people on it. What are you going to do? I stood up, straightening my jacket. I'm going to let him think he's winning. The next 3 days were the longest of my life. The court hearing was scheduled for Friday at 2 p.m. In the meantime, I had to maintain appearances, had to act like the confused, declining woman Marcus wanted everyone to believe I was. On Wednesday, Marcus finally came by my house. He'd texted that morning. Coming over this afternoon to help you sort things out, Mom. Don't worry about anything. I opened the door to find him standing there in an expensive suit I'd bought him for his birthday. He smiled that same smile that had melted my heart when he was 3 years old, the smile I'd seen in his father's face once upon a time. Hey, Mom, he said, hugging me. I stood rigid in his embrace, but he didn't seem to notice. How are you feeling? Confused, I said carefully. Marcus, what's going on with my accounts? I tried to pay for lunch yesterday, and I know, he said, guiding me inside like I was fragile. That's what I'm here to help with. Come on, let's sit down. We sat at the kitchen table, the same table where I'd made this discovery, where I'd planned my revenge. I forced myself to look uncertain, worried. Mom, I need to tell you something, and I want you to try to stay calm, okay? Okay, I whispered. You've been having some problems lately. Memory issues, confusion, making bad business decisions. The company has been losing money because you're not able to manage things the way you used to. The lies rolled off his tongue so smoothly. This was my son, and he was gaslighting me to my face. What? No, I know you don't see it. That's part of the problem. He reached across and took my hand. His touch made my skin crawl, but I didn't pull away. I love you, Mom, and because I love you, I've had to make some hard decisions. I've had you evaluated by some doctors, and they all agree that you need help managing your affairs. Marcus, I'm fine. You're not, Mom. His voice was gentle, patient, the voice of a dutiful son taking care of his declining mother. And it kills me to see you like this. But I'm going to take care of everything, okay? There's a hearing on Friday. The judge is going to give me power of attorney so I can manage the business and your finances. You won't have to worry about anything anymore. You can just rest. I stared at him. This person wearing my son's face, speaking my son's voice, but with the heart of a stranger. I don't understand, I said, letting my voice shake. I know, Mama, I know. He squeezed my hand. But trust me, I'm going to take care of you. That's what family does, right? Family. The word was poison in his mouth. Right, I whispered. He stayed for another hour, going through a performance of concerned son helping confused mother. He made me tea in my own kitchen. He asked about my medications I didn't take because I was perfectly healthy. Talked about getting me help, a facility, he suggested, where I could rest and be looked after. A facility. He was planning to lock me up. When he finally left, I sat at that table and let myself shake. Not from fear, from rage. Pure crystalline rage. My phone rang. It was Lorraine. Tell me you got it, I said. Every word. The recording device worked perfectly. We have him on tape lying about your condition, talking about having you institutionalized, the whole thing. Good. What else? Marcus met with Rothstein yesterday at the Four Seasons. My associate got photos of them shaking hands. We couldn't get audio, but body language suggests they're moving forward with the sale. When? Based on the communications we've intercepted, Rothstein is waiting for Friday's hearing. Once Marcus has full legal control, they're planning to finalize the deal next Tuesday. 5 days. In 5 days, Marcus thought he would own everything. What about James? I asked. James is interesting. He's been embezzling alongside Marcus, but there's evidence he's getting nervous. He sent Marcus an email last night questioning whether this was going too far. Marcus told him to grow a spine or get out. A crack in the conspiracy. I filed that information away. The lawyer, Vanessa Price? She's dirty as hell. This isn't her first time falsifying medical documents for a competency case. I found 2 other instances in the last 5 years. Both times families contested, both times she settled out of court to avoid prosecution. She's vulnerable. And the doctors who signed the evaluations. One's real but corrupt Dr. Frank Hamilton, been disciplined twice by the medical board. The other 2 are fake names on stolen medical licenses. Vanessa set up the whole thing. I closed my eyes. The evidence was piling up. Not just theft, fraud, forgery, conspiracy, embezzlement. Marcus had buried himself. Lorraine, I said slowly, I need you to do something for me. Name it. I need you to call the FBI. There was a pause. You're sure once we bring in the feds, there's no going back? I'm sure. Marcus didn't just betray me, he committed federal crimes. Wire fraud, bank fraud, elder abuse. He deserves everything that's coming to him. Okay, I have a contact there, Agent Williams. He'll want to talk to you. Set it up. Thursday morning, I met with FBI agent Derek Williams in a nondescript office building downtown. He was a serious man in his 40s with kind eyes that reminded me of my father. Lorraine had already briefed him on the basics. Now I handed over everything: the flash drive with all the financial records, the recordings from Marcus's visit, copies of the fake medical evaluations, emails between Marcus and his co-conspirators, evidence of the planned sale to Rothstein. Agent Williams spread it all out on the conference table, going through each document carefully. When he finished, he looked up at me. Mrs. Anderson, this is one of the most clear-cut cases of fraud I've seen in 15 years. Your son has committed multiple federal crimes. Can you stop him before tomorrow's hearing? No. Here's what I'm going to suggest. Let the hearing happen. Let him think he's winning. In the meantime, we'll be building our case. We'll need to interview witnesses, secure search warrants, coordinate with the DA's office. The best time to arrest him will be when he believes he's already won, when his guard is down. When? Agent Williams smiled, a cold, professional smile. Do you know when he's planning to finalize the sale with Rothstein? Tuesday. Then I suggest we make it a celebration he'll never forget. I understood immediately. You want to let him complete the crime. We want him to believe he's completed the crime. We'll be watching every step. The moment he tries to transfer ownership of your company to Rothstein, we'll have him for fraud, theft, and a dozen other charges. And we'll have Rothstein as an accessory if he knew the company wasn't legally Marcus's to sell. He knew, Lorraine interjected. The emails prove it. Agent Williams nodded. Even better, we'll get them all. What do I need to do? Tomorrow at the hearing, I need you to play the role Marcus expects. Be confused, uncertain, compliant. Let the judge make his ruling, then go home and wait. That's it. That's it, we'll handle the rest, but Mrs. Anderson, he leaned forward. I need to warn you, your son is going to go to prison for a long time. Once this starts, there's no stopping it. Are you prepared for that? I thought about Marcus as a little boy, paint-splattered and proud. I thought about Marcus at his graduation, promising never to let me down. I thought about every sacrifice I'd made, every dream I'd built for him. Then I thought about him sitting in my kitchen, lying to my face, planning to lock me away and steal everything I'd earned. Yes, I said. I'm prepared. Friday arrived. The court hearing was at 2 p.m. in Family Court, a gray stone building downtown. I dressed carefully that morning. A simple dress, modest jewelry, my hair pulled back. I wanted to look like someone's confused grandmother, not a woman plotting the destruction of her enemies. Richard Chen met me at the courthouse. Are you ready for this? I am. Remember, we're going to object, but we probably won't win today. The judge has the fake medical evaluations, and without time to fully investigate, I know, it's okay. He looked at me strangely. You seem very calm. I am calm. For the first time in days, I know exactly what's going to happen. The courtroom was small, wood-paneled, with fluorescent lights that gave everything a harsh glow. Marcus was already there with Vanessa Price, his lawyer. She was a thin woman in her 50s with sharp features and sharper eyes. They both stood when I entered. Marcus came over, smiling that smile. Mom, how are you feeling? I wanted to spit in his face. Instead, I gave him a confused look. Marcus, I still don't understand why we're here. It's okay, Mom. This will all be over soon, and then I can take care of everything. Vanessa Price approached, extending her hand. Mrs. Anderson, I'm Vanessa Price, your son's attorney. I want you to know that Marcus is only doing this because he loves you and wants what's best for you. I shook her hand limply. I just want to go home. Soon, she promised. We took our seats. The judge entered Judge Patricia Howard, a black woman in her 60s with a no-nonsense expression. For a moment, I felt a flicker of hope. Surely she would see through this. But then the hearing began, and Vanessa Price presented her case with devastating efficiency. Your Honor, we have 3 medical evaluations from respected physicians, all indicating that Mrs. Jasmine Anderson is suffering from early-onset dementia. She has shown marked cognitive decline over the past 6 months, memory loss, confusion, poor judgment in business matters. Her son, Marcus Anderson, who is currently a 50% partner in her business, has been forced to watch his mother deteriorate while trying to protect the company they've built together. She presented the fake medical reports. Judge Howard reviewed them carefully. Mrs. Anderson, the judge said, do you understand why you're here today? I forced myself to look uncertain. My son says I'm sick, but I don't feel sick. Have you experienced any memory problems? Confusion? Sometimes I forget things, but doesn't everyone? Richard Chen stood. Your Honor, my client only received notice of these proceedings yesterday. We haven't had time to obtain our own medical evaluation. We request a continuance to allow Mrs. Anderson to be examined by an independent physician. Vanessa Price responded smoothly. Your Honor, the accounts have already been frozen to prevent further financial damage to the company. Every day that passes puts the business and Mrs. Anderson's employees at risk. We're asking for a temporary conservatorship, just until Mrs. Anderson can receive proper treatment. Temporary. The word was a lie, and everyone in that room knew it. Once Marcus had control, he'd never let it go. Judge Howard was silent for a long moment, reading through the documents. Finally, she looked up. Mr. Chen, I understand your client needs time for an independent evaluation. However, given the medical evidence presented and the potential risk to the business, I'm going to grant a temporary conservatorship. My heart sank, even though I'd known this was coming. Marcus Anderson will be granted temporary power of attorney over his mother's financial affairs and business interests, effective immediately. This conservatorship will be reviewed in 60 days, at which time Mrs. Anderson may present evidence of her competency. 60 days. By then, Marcus would have already sold the company. However, the judge continued, and something in her tone made me look up, I want to make something very clear. This is a temporary measure. Mr. Anderson, you have a legal and ethical obligation to act in your mother's best interests. If I find that you have used this power for your own benefit rather than hers, there will be severe consequences. Do you understand? Marcus stood, looking appropriately solemn. Yes, Your Honor, I love my mother. All I want is to protect her and her legacy. The lies, the performance, if the judge only knew. Very well, the conservatorship is granted. The gavel came down. It was done. Marcus turned to me, pulling me into a hug. It's okay, Mom. Everything's going to be okay now. I forced myself not to pull away. What happens now? Now you go home and rest. I'll take care of the business. Don't worry about anything. Don't worry. I was about to destroy his entire life, and he was telling me not to worry. Outside the courthouse, Richard Chen pulled me aside. I'm sorry, Jasmine. We'll file for the review immediately, and it's fine, Richard. He blinked. It's fine. Trust me, everything is going according to plan. I left him standing there looking confused and drove home. Agent Williams called as I pulled into my driveway. We watched the hearing. Your son just took the bait. What happens now? Now we wait. My team is already monitoring all of Marcus's communications. The moment he makes contact with Rothstein about finalizing the sale, we'll know. In the meantime, try to act normal. If Marcus visits, play the part. I will. Mrs. Anderson. For what it's worth, I'm sorry you have to go through this. Thank you, but I'm not going through anything Marcus didn't choose for himself. The weekend was surreal. Marcus called twice, checking on me with fake concern. I played my role, sounding tired and confused. On Saturday, he sent over a nurse, a woman named Carol who was clearly there to spy on me. Your son just wants to make sure you're taking care of yourself, Carol said cheerfully. That's kind of him, I replied. I let Carol putter around my house, making me tea and asking invasive questions about my symptoms. Every word was probably being reported back to Marcus. Fine. Let him think he'd won. Sunday night, Lorraine called. It's happening. Marcus just sent Rothstein an email. The meeting to finalize the sale is scheduled for Tuesday at 7 p.m. at the Grandview Hotel, Presidential Suite. Marcus is planning a celebration dinner afterward at Marcello's, the same restaurant where your cards were declined. The irony was almost poetic. Who's invited to this celebration? Marcus, Rothstein, Vanessa Price, James Morrison, and a few other business associates. It's invitation only, very exclusive. Can you get me in? What? Jasmine, the FBI is handling this. I know. But Agent Williams said they're arresting him at the celebration, right? When he thinks he's won. That's the plan. Then I want to be there. I want to see his face when it all comes crashing down. There was a long silence. Then Lorraine laughed, a low, satisfied sound. You know what? I'll make it happen. I know the owner of Marcello's. I'll get you in. Monday crawled by. I kept up the act, staying home, acting diminished. Marcus came by that evening with more papers for me to sign, documents transferring additional company assets to his sole control. Just formalities, Mom, he said, guiding my hand to the signature line. So I can take care of everything for you. I signed. My handwriting was shaky, deliberately so. Every signature was another nail in his coffin, more evidence of fraud. You're being so good about this, Marcus said, patting my hand. I know change is hard. I trust you, I whispered. The lie tasted like ash, but I forced it out. I know you do, and I won't let you down. After he left, I sat at my kitchen table, the same table where this had all begun, and allowed myself one moment of grief. Grief for the son I'd thought I had, the boy who'd painted walls with me and promised to build a future together. Then I locked that grief away. Tomorrow was coming, and I needed to be ready. Tuesday morning, I called Patricia, my mother-in-law. She answered on the second ring. Jasmine, honey, how are you? Marcus told me about the hearing about your condition. Of course he had. Spreading the lies to everyone. Auntie Jasmine needs your help, I said quietly. Can you meet me for coffee? An hour later, we sat in a small cafe downtown, far from anyone who might recognize us. I told Patricia everything. The frozen accounts, the fake medical evaluations, the conspiracy, the planned sale of my company. She sat there, her coffee growing cold, tears running down her weathered face. My grandson, she whispered. My own grandson. I'm sorry, Patricia. I know he's your family. You're my family, she said fiercely, reaching across to grip my hands. You're the woman who raised that boy, who loved him when his father abandoned him, who built something from nothing. Marcus is my blood, but what he's doing. She shook her head. This is not the boy I knew. There's going to be a reckoning tonight, I said quietly. The FBI is arresting him. I wanted you to hear it from me first. Patricia was silent for a long time. Then she straightened her shoulders. Where and when? What? Where and when is this happening? Because I'm going to be there. Patricia, you don't have to. He humiliated you. Made me watch as you couldn't pay for our lunch, as you sat there ashamed. My grandson did that to you. Her voice was steel. I'm going to be there when he faces justice. So it was that Tuesday evening found me and Patricia getting ready together at my house. I dressed carefully, a navy suit, pearls, my hair styled elegantly. I looked like the successful businesswoman I was, not the confused old woman Marcus wanted everyone to see. Patricia wore her best dress, the one she saved for church. If we're doing this, we're doing it right, she said. Lorraine called at 6:30 p.m. Everything's set. Marcello's owner, Tony, has reserved a small private table for you in an alcove near the main dining room. You'll be able to see and hear everything. The FBI has agents in place, some posing as wait staff, others as diners. Agent Williams will be coordinating from a van outside. What about the meeting at the hotel? That's happening right now. Marcus and Rothstein are finalizing the sale. Agent Williams has agents monitoring it, recording everything. Once they sign the papers, the crimes are complete. Then everyone's heading to Marcello's for the celebration. We'll be there. Patricia drove us to the restaurant. My hands were steady on my lap, my breathing even. After all the pain, all the betrayal, I was about to see justice served. Marcello's was the same as it had been a week ago when I'd sat there humiliated. The same soft lighting, the same elegant decor, the same scent of garlic and fresh bread. But tonight was going to be very different. Tony, the owner, met us at the door. He was a large Italian man in his 60s who'd been a client of mine for years. He knew what Marcus had done. Mrs. Anderson, he said, his voice warm but his eyes hard. Your table is ready. And don't worry, tonight everything is on the house. He led us to a small alcove, partially hidden by a decorative screen but with a perfect view of the main dining room. A large round table was set up in the center, the place of honor. 7 chairs, champagne on ice, white tablecloths, the celebration table. Patricia and I sat down. Tony brought us water, squeezed my shoulder once in support, and left us. We didn't have to wait long. At 7:45 p.m., the door opened and Marcus walked in, laughing. He was with a tall white man in an expensive suit, David Rothstein. Behind them came Vanessa Price, James Morrison, and 3 other people I recognized as business associates. They were all smiling, triumphant. Marcus raised his voice, jovial. "Everyone, tonight we celebrate the future of Marcus Corp." They took their seats at the round table. Marcus sat at the head, Rothstein to his right, looking every inch the successful businessman about to toast his greatest achievement. A waiter, who I recognized as an undercover FBI agent, poured champagne. "I want to thank you all," Marcus said, standing with his glass raised. "David, for seeing the potential in what we're building. Vanessa, for making the legal transition so smooth. James, for your loyalty and hard work. This is just the beginning. Anderson Property Management is now officially Marcus Corp, and we're going to build an empire." Anderson Property Management. The company I'd built from nothing. He was toasting its destruction. "To new beginnings," Rothstein added, raising his glass. "To new beginnings." Everyone echoed. They drank. Patricia's hand found mine under the table, squeezing hard. "You know," Marcus continued, settling back in his chair with a satisfied smile, "I almost feel bad. My mother built that company and now it's mine, but she wasn't able to handle it anymore. She was making mistakes, losing money. I did what I had to do to protect the family legacy." The lies rolled off his tongue so easily. "Your mother must be proud," Rothstein said. Marcus laughed, actually laughed. "My mother doesn't understand what's happening. The dementia has really taken hold. She's probably at home right now, confused about where I am, but it's better this way. She can rest, and I can build something even bigger than she ever imagined." I felt Patricia trembling beside me, with rage, not fear. The appetizers arrived. They ordered expensive wine, laughed about the deal, planned their future. They talked about which properties to sell first, how to restructure, how much money they'd make. My life's work reduced to profit margins. Then, at exactly 8:30 p.m., the door to Marcello's opened again. Agent Derek Williams walked in, wearing a suit and an FBI badge clipped to his belt. Behind him were 4 other agents. The restaurant went quiet. Marcus looked up, confused. "Can I help you?" Agent Williams approached the table slowly, deliberately. "Marcus Anderson?" "Yes." Marcus was still smiling, probably thinking this was some kind of mistake that would be easily cleared up. "I'm Special Agent Derek Williams with the FBI. You're under arrest for wire fraud, bank fraud, embezzlement, elder abuse, and conspiracy to commit fraud." The smile died on Marcus's face. "What? There must be some mistake." "There's no mistake." Agent Williams pulled out handcuffs. "Stand up, please, Mr. Anderson." "This is ridiculous. I haven't done anything wrong." Marcus looked wildly around the table. "David, call my lawyer. Vanessa, tell them Vanessa Price," another agent said, moving to her side. "You're also under arrest for fraud, falsifying medical documents, and conspiracy." Vanessa's face went white. "James Morrison," a third agent said, approaching James. "You're under arrest for embezzlement and conspiracy to commit fraud." James stood up so fast his chair tipped over. "I can explain. I didn't want to. Marcus made me. Save it for your lawyer," the agent said, cuffing him. Marcus's eyes swept the restaurant wildly, looking for allies for an escape route. And that's when his gaze landed on me. I stood up slowly, stepping out from behind the screen. Patricia stood with me. Marcus's face went through a series of expressions, confusion, recognition, and then pure horror. "Mom," his voice cracked. "What are you? You're supposed to be home, confused, deteriorating." I walked toward him slowly, my heels clicking on the marble floor. Every eye in the restaurant was on us. "Is that what you expected, Marcus?" "I don't understand," he whispered. "Let me help you understand." I stopped a few feet from the table. "I knew everything. From the moment you froze my accounts, I knew. The fake medical evaluations, the conspiracy with Vanessa and James, the sale to Mr. Rothstein, I knew it all." Marcus's face was ashen. "No, you couldn't have. The FBI has been investigating you for the past week. Every email, every phone call, every illegal transfer of funds, they documented it all. And just so you know, I have early onset dementia like you have business ethics. which is to say, not at all. Mrs. Anderson, David Rothstein interrupted, standing. I can assure you I had no idea, didn't you? I turned to him. You've been receiving reports on my company's finances for 6 months. You knew Marcus didn't have the legal right to sell. You knew, and you didn't care because you wanted what I'd built. Agent Williams nodded to another agent, who moved to Rothstein's side. David Rothstein, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit fraud and receiving stolen property. This is insane, Rothstein shouted. My lawyers will be very busy, Agent Williams finished. We have all the emails, Mr. Rothstein, all the meetings, every plan you made to carve up Mrs. Anderson's company. You're going to prison. Marcus was being cuffed now, the metal clicking shut around his wrists. He looked at me with something like desperation. Mom, please, I'm your son. We can fix this. I made a mistake, but we're family. Family, I repeated softly. You want to talk to me about family? I moved closer until I was standing right in front of him. Around us, the restaurant was silent. Even the agents seemed to be holding their breath. I raised you, I said, my voice steady despite the emotion churning inside me. I worked 3 jobs to put food on our table. I scraped and saved and sacrificed so you could have opportunities I never had. I built a business from nothing and handed you half of it because you were my son, my legacy. Tears were running down Marcus's face now. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was weak and I made terrible choices, but you didn't just make bad choices, I interrupted. You planned this for months. You falsified medical records to have me declared insane. You stole from me. You were planning to lock me in a facility. And tonight, you sat at that table laughing about my dementia, celebrating stealing my life's work. I never wanted to hurt you. You tried to erase me. My voice broke slightly, the only crack in my composure. You tried to take everything I was and everything I'd built and just erase me, your own mother. Marcus was sobbing now. Please, Mama, please, I'm begging you. You forgot one thing, I said softly. You forgot that I'm Auntie Jasmine. I'm the woman who built a real estate empire from nothing. I'm the woman who survived your father leaving, who survived poverty and discrimination and every obstacle this world threw at me. And you thought you could outsmart me. I stepped back. You were wrong. Agent Williams pulled Marcus toward the door. As they passed, Marcus looked back at me one last time. I love you, Mom. The words hung in the air. Once they might have meant something. Now they were just noise. No, I said quietly. You don't. Because if you loved me, you never could have done this. They took him away. Vanessa, James, and Rothstein followed, all in handcuffs, all being read their rights. The other conspirators at the table were being questioned by agents. The restaurant slowly came back to life around me. Diners whispered to each other, pulled out phones to take pictures. Tomorrow, this would be all over the news. Patricia came to stand beside me. She took my hand and squeezed. You did the right thing, Auntie Jasmine, she said quietly. I know, I whispered, but it still hurts. That's because you actually love him. He's lucky you do because anyone else would have done worse. Tony appeared with a bottle of his finest wine. Mrs. Anderson, please sit, eat. Tonight you celebrate justice. So Patricia and I sat at that small table in the alcove and we ordered dinner. We ate good food and drank good wine and we toasted to justice and to family, real family, the kind that doesn't betray you. But I won't lie. Part of me was still that mother in the maternity ward 29 years ago, holding her newborn son and promising to give him the world. I'd kept that promise, and he'd destroyed it. The next morning, the story was everywhere. Local real estate mogul's son arrested in elaborate fraud scheme. FBI breaks up plot to steal elderly woman's business. My phone rang constantly, reporters, old friends, business associates. The outpouring of support was overwhelming. Richard Chen called to tell me that the court had immediately reversed the conservatorship. All my accounts were unfrozen. Anderson Property Management was mine again, fully and legally. What about the money Marcus stole? I asked. The FBI is tracking it down. Most of it was still in the accounts he'd transferred to. You'll get it back. Agent Williams called that afternoon. Mrs. Anderson, I wanted to update you on the case. Marcus, Vanessa Price, James Morrison, and David Rothstein have all been formally charged. The DA is considering additional charges of elder abuse and fraud. Based on the evidence, we're looking at significant prison time for everyone involved. How long? Marcus is facing 10 to 15 years. Vanessa and Rothstein probably 8 to 12. James might get less if he cooperates, but still substantial time. 10 to 15 years. Marcus would be in his 40s when he got out. His whole life destroyed by his own greed. Thank you, Agent Williams. Mrs. Anderson, what you did letting him think he'd won, gathering all that evidence, it was brilliant. We have him dead to rights on everything. I didn't do it to be brilliant, I did it to protect what I built. I understand. For what it's worth, you're the toughest person I've met in this job. Your son messed with the wrong woman. The weeks that followed were a blur of legal proceedings, depositions, and rebuilding. The 3 fake doctors were identified and charged. The real doctor who'd signed off on the fraudulent evaluation lost his medical license. Vanessa Price's law license was suspended pending disbarment. The sale to Rothstein was voided. His company faced its own legal troubles, and his reputation in the business community was destroyed. James Morrison turned state's evidence against Marcus, confirming every detail of the conspiracy. He still went to prison, but got a reduced sentence. As for Marcus, I went to see him once in jail before his trial. They brought him into the visiting room in an orange jumpsuit, looking 20 years older than he had a month ago. He sat down across from me, unable to meet my eyes. We sat in silence for a long time. Finally, he spoke. "Thank you for coming." "I needed to see you," I said. "I needed to understand." "Understand what?" Why wasn't everything I gave you enough?" Marcus was quiet for a long time. When he finally looked up, his eyes were red. "I don't know, Mom. I looked at what you'd built, and instead of being grateful, I just wanted more. I wanted it to be mine, not ours. I wanted to be the one who'd made it, not the one who inherited it. So you tried to steal it. I told myself I deserved it, that I'd earned it. I convinced myself you were holding me back, that I could do better without you." He laughed bitterly. "I was an idiot." "Yes," I said quietly. "You were. I know you'll never forgive me." I looked at this man who was my son, who carried my blood and my name, who'd thrown away everything for greed and ego. "You're right," I said. "I won't. I understand. But Marcus," I waited until he looked at me, "I hope someday you understand what you destroyed. Not just the business, not just the money, us, our family, everything we were to each other. I hope you spend every day in prison thinking about what you gave up." I stood to leave. "Mom." His voice cracked. "I really am sorry." "I know," I said, "but that doesn't fix anything." I walked out of that prison and never went back. Marcus was convicted on all counts 6 months later. The judge gave him 14 years. Vanessa Price got 10. Rothstein got 12. James Morrison got 5. The business recovered. With Marcus gone and the stolen funds recovered, Anderson Property Management actually thrived. I promoted one of my longtime employees to CFO, someone I'd known for years and trusted implicitly. Patricia and I grew even closer. She apologized 1,000 times for her grandson's actions, even though none of it was her fault. "Stop apologizing, Auntie Patricia," I told her one afternoon over coffee. "You didn't do this, he did. He was my family. And so am I. Family isn't just blood, it's loyalty, it's love, it's showing up when things are hard." Marcus was my blood, but he wasn't my family, not anymore. I started speaking at business conferences, sharing my story. "Protect yourself," I'd tell them. "Even from the people you love, especially from the people you love. Have backup plans, multiple signatories, oversight. Don't give anyone, not your spouse, not your children, not your partners, complete control over what you've built." Some people said I was too harsh. That I should have given Marcus another chance. That family deserves forgiveness. To those people, I say, you didn't sit in a restaurant unable to pay for lunch because your own son froze your accounts. You didn't watch someone you raised try to have you declared insane to steal from you. You didn't see your child sit at a table laughing about your supposed dementia while celebrating stealing your life's work. Walk in my shoes. Then tell me about mercy. Now, 3 years later, I'm sitting on my back porch watching the sunset. The business is thriving. We just acquired 2 new commercial properties. My employees are happy and well paid. My reputation in the community is stronger than ever. Sometimes I think about Marcus, locked in a cell somewhere. I wonder if he ever truly understood what he destroyed. I wonder if he realizes that he didn't just lose my business, he lost me, his mother. The woman who would have given him anything if he'd just been patient, if he'd just been honest, if he'd just been loyal. But mostly, I don't think about him at all. Looking back now, I realize that what Marcus did, as painful as it was, taught me something valuable. It taught me that loyalty is earned, not given. That blood doesn't guarantee character, that you can love someone completely and still need to protect yourself from them. Some say I was too harsh, that I should have confronted Marcus privately, given him a chance to return the money and apologize quietly. But those people don't understand this wasn't just about money. This was about a fundamental betrayal of trust. Marcus didn't just steal from me, he tried to erase me. He tried to take my identity, my accomplishments, my very competence, and make them disappear. That kind of betrayal doesn't deserve private forgiveness. It deserves public justice. I'm Auntie Jasmine, and I built my empire twice, once from nothing and once from ashes. I survived poverty, abandonment, discrimination, and betrayal. I raised a son who turned on me, and I brought him down with the same determination I'd used to build everything he tried to steal. And I'm still here, still standing, still building. That's the real victory. If you're reading this and you're in business with family, or you've given someone you love power over what you've built, I want you to remember something. Trust is beautiful, but verification is smart. Love your family, but protect yourself. Hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. Because the cruelest betrayals come from the people we trust most. And when they come, not if, but when, you need to be ready to protect what's yours. As for me, I'm doing more than fine. I'm thriving. I'm happy. I'm free. And Marcus is exactly where he deserves to be. Justice, in the end, is its own reward.